Brut, Old Spice, Acqua di Parma Colonia. They work for your granddad, and some of us would not be around if it weren't for these legendary colognes. However, they are outdated. Boys, today, let's discuss some of our current favorites and which of them are going to be irrelevant in 5 years. Class is in session. But before we get into it, some exciting news, boys. We went back to one of the most prominent perfumers in the UK, back in Bourton-on-the-Water, and I sat down with him today to discuss an upcoming release. That's right, we're going to be releasing our own fragrance. If you want to keep up to date with that process, guys, make sure you are following us on both Instagram and TikTok, where we'll be telling you how the process is going. It's going to take a while. It's still at its inception stage, and we still have to get the packaging and logo design on the way. Let us know in the comments down below, guys, what kind of fragrance would you like to see School of Scent release? Getting on to the main video, I know I'm going to be cooking up a mean comment section with these suggestions. They're going to be popular fragrances that I think are going to be outdated in 5 years' time. That doesn't necessarily mean they won't sell well in 5 years. For example, Paco Rabanne 1 Million, the original, definitely smells outdated. Whenever I smell it, I go back to 2010. But it still sells very well. It's hard to find on discounters for that reason. This is mainly a fun video, guys. I don't have any of my fragrances out because I'm still moving around. So hopefully next video, there'll be more physical bottles in my hand, but there should still be B-roll. For each fragrance I think will be outdated, I will also give an alternative that I think will push it away and replace it in upcoming years. Let's see if you agree with my predictions, guys. Let's get into it. Okay, number one, let's get it out of the way. Sauvage. Dior Sauvage needs to die. This fragrance has been way too popular for way too long. Everyone in the community and the layperson agrees that you are likely going to smell like every guy in the club, and you're going to smell like her ex as well. I know they're releasing new flankers, but I'm talking mainly about the EDT and EDP. I think the synthetics in there are becoming more outdated. It's going to remind people of 2015 to 2020. I think what is going to replace Sauvage, as well as YSL-Y, I think they're both just too synthetic. The aroma chemicals in them are going to be replaced by more classical, more timeless fragrances like Bleu de Chanel. I think Bleu de Chanel will stand the test of time, whilst the other two will not. Let me know if you agree, guys. Second of all, Creed Aventus. Let's face it, it's not as good quality as it used to be. You're not getting a consistent product with the batch variations, and it's just still way too expensive. As well as this, it now has an infinite number of clones, and I think that Creed's Viking Cologne is actually one of their better releases in modern times. I think more people should give it the praise it deserves. I still think Aventus is going to sell well even in 5 years' time, but I think a lot of people, again, are going to be transported to the 2010s. Also, I think it's going to be pushed away by a fragrance called Nishani Hashivat, which I do think smells higher quality. It's actually worth its expensive price tag, and as more people get into niche perfumery, I think Hashivat will overtake Aventus. Third, Versace Eros, again, needs to die. You're going to smell like every guy in the club these days. It's going to transport people to 2015 to 2020. I think it's a very boring fragrance. It's very pleasant. That's why it sells so well, but I think it's far too simple. I think in today's upcoming years, with gender fluidity becoming an increasing concept in today's society, I think Moschino's Toy Boy is going to replace Eros, if I'm honest. It didn't get a lot of hype in the beginning, but I know through a friend who is a perfume store manager that it is becoming more popular and selling better. I think it will replace Eros. It's not hugely masculine. I think it's androgynous, but I still don't think girls themselves will want to wear it. I still think a lot of girls find it sexy on guys. So watch out for Toy Boy. Smell it if you haven't already. The original Spice Bomb by Victor and Rolf, I think is a dead fragrance. Ever since it got reformulated, the performance isn't as good, and there are better alternatives. If you want to get a designer alternative, a lot of people are going to go for Bulgari's Men in Black, which I think will replace it overall in upcoming years, or you go one step further and go for Initio's Rehab. Yeah, sorry Spice Bomb, the other flankers of the brand are good, but I think the original is not worth getting anymore. Baccarat Rouge, I think, is horribly overpriced. I'll say it, guys. I think it's a good fragrance, but just like Sauvage, the ambroxan used in that fragrance is not actual ambroxan. They use a very cheap replication of that, which is called Ambrofix, which is very cheap, which is surprising for such an expensive scent. I think MFK do a lot better fragrances like Grand Soir or Oud. So I think a lot of people are going to smell other MFK fragrances and realize that Baccarat Rouge, I think, maybe the easiest fragrance to get into, but it's not the best. And now there are cheap clones like Ariana Grande's Cloud or even Mancera's Instant Crush. In my opinion, the fragrance that is getting the hype that it should get is Kilian's Angel Share, which I think will replace Baccarat Rouge as the expensive special occasion sweet niche scent. Incredible fragrance. Definitely try it. Paco Rabanne Invictus, the original. It's been on top for far too long. I think, again, it's sort of this whole bubblegum genre that has just saturated the market from in the 2010s. So I think people, when they smell that DNA, are going to be transported to like 2017 or so. I still think it's going to sell very well in 5 years' time, but I think people, again, will think it is outdated. I think today, a good replacement I think should be popular. I think it's a very good new release is Jean-Paul Gaultier's Scandal Pour Homme, which has a new type of balanced sweetness. The appeal of Invictus is that it's sweet, but it's still fresh and balanced. Scandal takes caramel and makes it fresh, which is very good, creative. It's not mind-blowing, but it's a nice, easy to get into release. Or even Spice Bomb's Infrared. Again, fruits, peppers, a bit of sweetness, balanced but interesting and new. It's taking the fragrance market into a new direction. They're using different aroma chemicals. You can just tell the style is changing for these types of balanced sweet fragrances. Invictus needs to go out. Dior Homme 2020 only came out last year, but me and a lot of other reviewers on the internet hate this fragrance. I think it already smells outdated. I think it took a lot of inspiration from Sauvage, which I think is already outdated also. I actually think if people go to a Dior boutique, if they smell something like the original Dior Homme, I still think that smells more interesting and relevant today. It's less synthetic, or even Dior Homme Intense, I think will push the 2020 version out of the way. I think there are other woody fragrances like Bleu de Chanel, which also push it out of the way. I do not think it's a good release. I hope they do not try to build on that DNA. I don't think it's very inspiring. I think they took too much of that success from Sauvage, let it get to their heads. I think Dior should go back to more creative approaches to their fragrances, like they used to back in the day. And finally, guys, Emporio Armani's original Stronger With You. Only came out in 2017, but again, I think it actually, you may not agree with this, guys, but surprisingly, I think it took a lot of inspiration from Invictus. It has that similar style, that fruity sweetness, but it's going more on a spicy direction. I think, again, it has a very 2010s decade appeal to it. I think it'll still be relevant for the next 5 years, but after 5 years, that's when it's going to start dying down. I think niche perfumery is going to get even more popular in mainstream society, and I think even though this is not a niche house, I think Maison Margiela's By the Fireplace, which, you know, these two fragrances have a lot of similarities, I think that will replace Stronger With You. It's a better fragrance, it's more interesting, more smoky. I think, yeah, I think it's just going to be something that takes away from that boring mainstream design of Stronger With You. Let me know if you guys agree with that. That concludes the video, guys. Make sure, if you disagree, tell us why in the comments down below. Interestingly, I'd also want to know from you guys, what fragrances do you think that I haven't listed here are going to be out of date? What fragrances do you think should just be put to rest? They've been overdone, they're outdated. It would be really interesting to see what you guys think of this topic. Hopefully this was entertaining. Again, a little bit different. I don't think anyone else has done this kind of video on YouTube before. So make sure you let us know your thoughts, guys, and let me know what kind of fragrance would you like to see us release. It's exciting time, guys. Make sure to take care of yourself and watch another one of our videos. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.